Hi guys, Mike here from Kinspan Thermakraft. Today I'm going to show you how to install our new improved Thermaflash. The updated Thermaflash is translucent, so you can see where you are placing it. It's also got a split liner that is made from paper instead of a plastic liner. It won't create static electricity after you pull it off and end up sticking to yourself. Before we get started, you'll need your utility knife, your tape measure, your builder's pencil, and of course don't forget your Thermaflash. We've got three widths, 150mm, 200mm if you're on a commercial site, and we've got your 75mm. Wall underlay's up now, so now we've got to mark out our window and cut out 45s through, so I'll get started on that. Hope your mathematics is better than mine. I struggle to get a perfect 45, but we'll let you get away with it. Obviously this is a rectangular window if you know your mathematics, because now we've got to do a horizontal through the middle. Now we'll go on the inside and pull this taut around. I'm sure you've all done this many times before. Sealing around the corners, you've got two options with the Thermaflash. You can use your plastic orange corner moulds, or you can use the butterfly strips. Corner moulds are traditional with our alu-band bituminous window sealing tape. With the Thermaflash, it's brands appraised with or without. Today I've got 4 butterfly strips pre-cut. I've just used the 150 and cut through 75mm wide. Now, you need to take note that on the 2 bottom corners, the butterfly strips should go on first. On the top corners, they won't go on until I've actually sealed that whole top. On the 2 bottom corners where the butterfly strips need to go on first, we'll be putting those on 45 degrees, and I'll be overlapping that corner about 3mm, because that's critical to get your watertight corner. And you'll notice that when I put a bit of pressure on this, you actually see the colour change marginally, so you know when you've got it adhered properly. Where we've overlapped 3mm, get your finger and just press that in a little bit. Now that we've got the butterfly corners on, I'll be measuring the sill width. Being a 90x45 frame, we'll need the 150mm wide. If it was your 140 to 150mm framing, or 6x2 for those old buggers, you'd be using the 200 wide Thermaflash. So first measure the length, 1.06. Now plus 200 up on both sides, so 200 there and plus 200 there. So if your mathematics is any good, that'll be 1460. For me, my eyesight's not perfect, so I'm marking out 200mm to make sure I get it pretty right. I've added another 5mm on just to, if I don't get something quite right, it's going to come out in the wash. I've pre-cut to the width of the window, plus 200 either side. So now I'm going to be starting to install this. Right, so putting the 150 wide on, trying to get a little bit tricky. I'm sure all of you guys are a bit aware of. You want to get your alignments all correct. I'm just taking the time here, just trying to make sure this corner goes right into the corner, as I'm sure anybody who's installed window sealing tape realises that's pretty important. Right, that's good. I've only taken one side of the backing liner off at this point. Once you've got it really tight in that corner, just feel where the end of the frame is, and then you're going to get your utility knife, come off maybe about 3mm again, and go 90 degree to the window sealing tape. Taking the backing off this top piece, and now I'm just going to turn that around and keeping it nice and taut. Press it out with your hand so that you're rubbing out any air. Now I'll start to release the release liner on the bottom piece. Alright, so just start to fold that gently around. Remember, using your hand to take out any air. Keep moving along as you're comfortable to try and get the most perfect finish possible. Finishing off this last bit of the bottom corner piece. Taking your backing liner off. Again, pulling it nice and taut around, using your hand to push any of the air out, getting a beautiful smooth finish. Now you can see the importance here of why I overlapped that butterfly by 3mm, and then when I cut through 90 degree on the 150 wide here, I stayed off the frame by a couple of mil, because I want shiplap. That corner is the most important. So we've got the bottom still completely finished now. Now doing the top 2, we're just doing 200mm each way, both corners, and then last of all we'll be doing your butterfly pieces. I'm just marking out 200mm each way to know where to start and finish. I've actually cut these over 200 just marginally in case something's not perfect. I've overdone it rather than underdone it. Just trying to get all the alignment right now. Start on the inside of the frame. Again, wanting to get it really hard into that corner. perfect as possible. And I assure you mine isn't perfect, but you need it as perfect as possible. As you know, the secret is trying to align it properly. If you get it aligned at the beginning, as long as you've made everything plumb, as I'm sure you guys will have done, it'll go on just right. Running your hand over, putting a bit of pressure on, because this is how this really sticks, applying a bit of pressure all the way around. Again, just looking where my frame is, and I'm going to start this cut a couple of mil away from outside the timber, and do that 90 degree to the way the window sealing tape runs. Taking the release liner off, using your hand again to press down firmly and get rid of any air trapped in there. Lovely. Now start on the other side of the corner, peeling the final bit of release liner off, getting that as taut as possible with your pressure on the hand and getting rid of any air there. Great, now we'll do the other side. And again, of course, being very careful in the corner, getting the Thermaflash aligned to the end of the frame on the inside, and then getting it as far into that corner as possible. Depending what tool you've got on site, you could even use a bit of a timber wedge and just arris it off as your spatula type tool. Lovely, nice and tight. Cutting again just on the outside of the frame, and now I go about roughly 2 mil just outside the outside of the frame. Taking off one of the release liners, folding it around nice and tight, getting rid of any air inside. We've just got the last top piece to do, and bend that around again really nice and tight. Beautiful. I've taken the backing off the butterfly pieces on the top to get that ship flat finish. We're going last of all butterfly pieces. 45 degree again, and overlap that corner by 3 mil. Push it out nice and firmly, and then final step, get your thumb or your finger and press in that corner. Everybody will do this slightly differently. Because it's a non-bituminous window sealing tape, you need to be sure that you're getting total nail and staple sealability. Hence, you need a second layer on the sill, just from one end straight through to the other, and it sits flush with the outside frame. Again, the length hasn't changed, still 1.60 m, straight through the base. Measuring out 1.60 m. Right, so just getting your second layer tight into that, right tight into that corner. You want to try and get this right first time. The Thermaflash is a very high adhesion tape, so it pays big dividends if you get it right. Pull that back, the split liner, and I'm going to use the other end of the window just to try and make sure I keep that alignment right. Pulling that taut before I start adding pressure to hold it down. And last bit, just maybe hold that with your finger a little bit. Press that nice and firmly, pushing all the air outside. Run over with your hand again and just double check it's down really firmly. Beautiful. Right guys, job done. Ready for all your joinery to be installed. Couple of points. Your Thermaflash has a 180-day UV exposure. In saying that, just be doubly sure you check with your underlay, whatever you're using, that those two marry up. We've also got our New Zealand-based technical team ready to answer any of your questions, no matter what they're on, Thermaflash or any Kinspan Thermakraft product.